Hi everybody, my name is David and this is All Things Sacred. So today I want to talk about Devi Mahatmyam a little more. I know I've been doing quite a bit of videos over an extended period of time. Not quite as long as the tarot, but quite a bit of time spent on focusing on this one work. But I feel as though it's a very important work. Obviously, I have a lot to say about it. I've been going and approaching it in different details, such as going over the notes that I wrote concerning it, and I'll probably still be approaching the quotes as well because there's a lot of great quotes that can help to focus and expand on some of the thoughts and especially the supplicatory, the additional prayers that are put at the end. And I've done a few videos here where I'm just talking about, just kind of just free talking about different ideas concerning the goddess and the work and how we should understand the work. A lot of the reading of the notes too was very just free talk. The notes were just mainly pointers. But one of the major points that I feel should be approached in this, and so I just kind of want to talk freely again today, is I'm going to call this video "The Goddess in You" because it sounds a lot better than something like "The Goddess versus You," and that's really what I want to talk about is not necessarily the goddess versus you or the goddess and you, the goddess love for you, because this text is all about how the goddess, is there for us to support us in any way that is beneficial for us, even if it doesn't seem positive. And that's why I want to talk about the goddess versus us as much as the goddess protecting us. And, uh, you know, um, yeah, that's really the idea. Is that the goddess presents herself in the text in kind of these two ways, it seems, right? Where she is beneficent and she offers all the boons that are asked for her or from her by her devotees. But she also, as some of those boons often include destroying the Asuras, where she appears in this very fierce form. And it seems like there's almost these two goddesses, but of course they are just one. As well, our relationship with the goddess is going to resemble this dichotomy also, And I want to use this as a means of expressing how our projection of the world, our thoughts on what the world is, our situation in it, whether they be good or bad, are really what color the dichotomy of the world. That if we're to, find that universality, we have to take a step back and see beyond it. I've said this so many times that duality, dichotomy is just apparent. It's only appears to be so, but in reality, it's actually one thing. And the best way I've really come, after sitting on the things that I've said about this text for a little while, is really like the left and the right hand. The goddess has both, for example, and our relationship with her will include her interacting with us with both of her hands, whether it be offering us boons or destroying the Ashuric tendencies that we have. And you can't say that the left and right hand are really opposite of one another because they work from the same source. The one being is still controlling them. And so I'm brought back to the text, to this idea that the goddess is she who gives, iniquity, or she gives discomfort, she gives negativity, she gives obstacles in the house of the wicked, and she gives boons in the house of the good. And within us as well, we have both of these natures. We have both of these tendencies to do things that are useful and beneficial and good for all, and things that are selfish and, only for me and I and mine. And the goddess will respond in kind. If we are to do those things of selfish nature, then she will give to us, negativity. And if we are to do things that are sharing, she'll give back to us what it is that we share. And that is our relationship with the goddess. This is that idea of the goddess in you. And so most people will want to look to the goddess to propitiate her, and they will do various actions, prostrations or fire rituals or just reading of the text, listening to the text, a heartfelt prayer of any form to kind of atone almost in a way for the negative response that the goddess also owes us. Because if we are, of a dual nature, where we do actions that are deserving of both good and bad consequences, then it is only the goddess who gives us those good or bad consequences. And we have to understand that when negative things come our way, this is the goddess, providing us insight, providing us understanding, providing us lessons that are necessary so that we can become more refined, so that we can move from our tamasic to our rajasic to our sattvic to our transcendent state. And that when she offers us boons as well, those are a means of achieving these greater states, these greater modes of being. But as well, they could be obstacles, because if we only ever focus on the boons and never doing any of the work, then our inhibitions will, our ability to do things will be inhibited, and we will slowly, peter back into possibly a tamasic state. If one is only sattvic and not transcendent, then that tamasic state can still take over. One can become lazy, they can move back past the rajasic state of all the actions that they're doing and all the goals that they've set, back into a tamasic state where they're lazy and unable to move, and the goddess will, provide these good and bad things in that dualistic nature. We will receive something that seems as though it's a negative, and because of the play of Maya, because of the falsehood of appearances, truly, is what Maya is. Those bad things will often lead to our benefit, and the same is the reverse. And the goddess likes to do that. We see her throughout the text laughing. She's laughing the entire time. This horrific battle that she's a major part of is going on. The gods are all in terror. The goddess is there laughing because this is all as played to her. This really comes back to that idea that the goddess is you. Not only is she the one who is giving you all of your benefit and all of your negativity, but she truly is your greatest being. She's, as a transcendent state, she understands that she is manifesting as the entire universe in an amnesic sort of way, where it no longer remembers its true transcendent beingness. And a lot of times too, I looking online and stuff, it's easy to see people who are like, oh, we are all gods and stuff. We're gods in an amnesic state. I recently saw that post, and why I liked it. But I also saw that there's a lot of misinterpretation with a statement like that, because when we start to believe that we're all like these gods and stuff, these godlike beings, which is true, our soul is a godlike being, but the soul doesn't have an ego in the way that when someone with an ego sees a statement like that, they'll imagine, oh, I'm like who am I, Hephaestus? Who am I, Zeus? What am I, Thor? And it's like a new ego gets attached around the individual that doesn't do any benefit to allow a person to transcend, even towards a sattva. That a person in tamas could sit there and be like, oh, that's true, I am a god. The phrase is armchair magician, that I've heard. Someone who just reads books and studies things intellectually, but never has an actual transcendent experience, so they're trapped in the realm of ego. We can't realize, we can realize, but it's very difficult for us to realize that the goddess is us, because we feel so connected to all the, not only the consequences and the benefit that she gives us, that the universe gives us, if we're to be completely secular, that the consequences that we receive, it's easy to see that as not being us. We were very connected to all that. But the actions that go to receive those consequences, it's very hard for us to become detached from those things, because we feel so much pride. We feel so much, we'll set goals for ourselves, we'll say. We're setting this list of goals, and we have to achieve these goals. And as we achieve those goals, we're defining ourselves by the goals that we achieve and our ability to achieve those goals. And then if we get negative consequences because of the things that we did, even if they were goals, then we feel so guilt-ridden or attached to those, the consequences. And if we get benefit from what it is that we've set out to do, then we feel so much pride, look at what I've done. This is coming back to the idea of how the goddess has a relationship with the ideas I, me, and mine. And that's why she's laughing. Because, we're playing this projection show. We're playing this dance, this performance, where we are gaining so much, either internal accolades or eternal boos and prostrations against us, depending on what's happened. But the entire time, the goddess is there recognizing, our transcendent being is recognizing that all of this is a show that we're putting on. And this is how projections really work. I will get to videos talking about the shadow self and how one does come to recognize the projections that they are putting out on the world, and how to take those projections back so that you could start seeing the world as it really is, to start really dealing with the things that you are hiding from yourself. But when you're really looking at it from this place of the goddess, as the goddess really being this transcendent being who manifests as the entire cosmos in the transcendent state, recognizing without an ego that all of this is a show, that's one way. When we start to understand it in that way, we start to realize that every single moment of our lives, until we can see past, the basic projection, everything in front of us is a projection. Our perspective on any given situation colors that situation so that it appears to us either good or bad, beneficial or negative, something that we should move towards or become attached to, or run from, be averted from. And that's the joke of it all. That's why she laughs, because all of these things are neutral to our true self. A transcendent being is unattached to the benefits or the detriments that are the consequences for their actions. As well, a transcendent being is unattached to their actions. They see this as a flow of cosmic potential manifesting into a specific relative situation. But besides that, there's no reason to feel so attached to this I, me, and mine of it all. And that is how, and then we're coming back to this idea I started talking about at the beginning. I went a little bit of a roundabout way, but that is how it becomes the goddess versus you. Because most people, all of us, at a certain time, as we move towards Rajas and Sattva, and then transcendence, all of us have to be attacked by the goddess, so to say. All of us have to stand in that place of the Asuras as she, hacks away and consumes all of our false ego, all of our ahamkara, all of our, misidentification with our thoughts or our way of dressing, the way that we present ourselves, our reputation, our career, our religion, our personality, our likes and dislikes, our emotions, our friends, our lovers, our family. All these things we use to define ourselves have nothing to do with the transcendent being that we really are. And the goddess comes in and destroys each of these things. It sounds brutal, right? She comes in and she destroys our self-worth, it almost sounds like, right? Our ability to, take pride in this or that. But those things that we take pride in hurt us just as much as they, give us that sense of goodness, of worthiness. And we have to realize that our sense of self-worth can't really come from things outside of us like that, from ideas about who we are, that our sense of self-worth should be an intrinsic thing that we never have to really feed into. That's how the goddess is our seeming enemy. She's the enemy of our ego. And, that's a good thing that she is. As well, she's a benefit to our true soul nature. I wanted to talk really about, this because there is the question of the merchant and the king at the beginning of the tale to the sage Medas. And they want to know, why is it that we're trapped in this whirlpool of delusion? That we miss things that we've lost, or we still feel affection towards those that have wronged us, or we want to take revenge on, the people who took away from the things that we now have that we've lost. There's this whole question of, why are we so attached to all of these things? Why are we so deluded by the world and all the situations that we go through, that it causes us misery, that it causes us unhappiness, that it causes us to fight and destroy one another and ourselves? And that's really the answer. That's why I want to approach this, because this whole video has been about that answer, is that an individual needs to see their relationship with the goddess first to really become unattached. They need to see their relationship with the goddess, and they need to recognize that she is offering boons to the destruction of our ego. She's offering boons to the benefit of our soul, but our relationship to our soul is actually a frightening thing. That when we first approach it and we need to start giving up what appears to be giving up parts of ourselves, we're really just giving up blockages to ourself. We're not able to see ourselves truly. She's giving boons to the soul that's behind all of these false pieces of us. But when we feel that these pieces define us, that these are our pieces, the idea of having to give them up, our personality, so to say, our likes and dislikes and our attachments, there is such a want to keep those things. There's like an attachment to our attachment. That, who will we be, we think, if we don't have those qualities? And that's the only reason people fear that is because on the other side, they don't recognize that their soul nature has such a depth and beauty to it that doesn't come with all this suffering and pain that the other side has. That doesn't come with all this sense of guilt and neediness and longing, lack that side has. And recognizing that, then we can then see, so we that teaches us that the things that we're often attached to are things that we should have some sort of aversion to, maybe. And the things that we have aversion to, that transcendent whole unrelative state, which is often a scary thing because we lose ourselves in that, is something that we should be attached to, something that we're averted, something that we fear. And so, kind of like flipping those two, not fully, but seeing one in the other, seeing aversions in our attachments, putting aversions in our attachments and putting attachments in our aversions, really allows us to kind of see the fullness of the picture. Things start becoming less dual. We start to recognize that it's just the waving of the hands of the goddess as she does her various actions to influence our lives and to make this play an enjoyable one for her to watch. An enjoyable one for you as a transcendent, non-egoic being to sit back and enjoy, look back and look forward on this relative and all the relative lives and really enjoy the performance that's going on. And then to come outside of this. So the question is, how do we become attached from this delusion? How do we break out of this delusion? First, you switch them like that, your attachments and your aversions, you see them within one another, and then you become, by doing that actually, you start to recognize that you're not so scared of the things that you're scared of anymore, and your attachments, even though you put aversion into them, you're not fully averted to them that you're like, they're bad. Some people do this and it's to their detriment, but that's just growth. But by seeing that, you no longer become scared of things as much, and you no longer become ruled. You no longer become a slave to other things. That were your attachments that you once were ruled by, and by not having so much attachment to the consequences of things, you eventually start to realize, especially with the proper guidance, that the things that you do too, you don't need to have attachment to. You don't need to recognize yourself, your relative self, in all these little minutiae of the day. Oh, you got a new job and you're getting, greater income, you bought this or that. You don't have to see yourself in all of that. That is just part of the play of what's going on. And, a person might think, oh, but I want to see myself in that. And that's fine. But when you start to see yourself, when you start to look from the perspective, rather, of the transcendent being, rather than being the character in the middle of it all, then you gain real unattachment to the whole situation. You're able to watch your life go on as that play, as that dance, as that show, as that performance. And it's great. It's so much better. We're no longer pushed and pulled by every little thing. We are able to start breaking free of our conditioning because we start to recognize the conditioning that's been implanted into us. We see the things that we do on a day to day, and we're unattached to it, and we can start to really analyze it. We can start to use the mind as a tool to start to analyze ourselves, because we can begin to see ourselves more and more. That's the big issue with shadow work a lot of the time to approach, because we're so enmeshed in all the experiences, all the situational relativity of our lives, that even as we start to look at the darker sides of ourselves, we become all mixed up, because we see this as us. And when a person can learn to be unattached first, if they can start to move towards that transcendent state, then all of that will be so much easier. By looking at those dark sides of their self, they'll realize this is just the dark side of their conditioning. That their conditioning has created their personality, that their conditioning has created their emotions, their likes and their dislikes. An individual can feel as unique as they want. They could, watch the most obscure shows and listen to the most obscure music and read the most obscure books. But all of that has still been created for you by a set of conditions. That you are not original in your own right when it comes to what it is that you are consuming. That those things that you are consuming were created for you by someone else, even if you're completely off the grid and consuming food that you've grown yourself. It was provided for you by the mother herself. Okay, so the video is getting a little choppy. This video, I touched on a number of various topics. I will likely, I'm not 100% sure, because I've settled so much on this, be approaching the direct quotes. I'm going to look over one more time and see if I'll do that. But otherwise, I'm going to start doing another set of videos that I'm kind of already moving towards, if you can't tell, starting to talk about different topics that are more practical. Really how to break free of this ahamkara, this false sense of self, and start revealing your true inner soul nature. And to do that, this video was kind of like a transition, a segue to say that it is by becoming unattached to the consequences and the detriments that we face, as well as the actions that we do. By becoming unattached to those things, we are able to see ourselves and the world more clearly. So I want to thank everyone, and hope you have a great night. I will be doing a video again here soon, whatever soon means. Take care.